So, namaste everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. You've joined the 37th session of Aparokshanubhuti. This is offered by Bindoji, and you can catch up on the replay of the previous 36 rooms in Clubhouse, or you can alternately use the YouTube channel Advaita Retold that's pinned in the chat. And for reference, the text pinned up on top of the room is from Swami Vimuktananda, which is an English translation or transliteration, actually word-to-word translation. And you have the Acharya Vidhyaranya Sanskrit version in the chat. The link is available. And Bindoji is using these two texts to formalize his English version of Aparokshanubhuti, which you can follow through. For a few housekeeping things, I'm going to shut down the chat and hand raising. And for an hour or so, and then once Bindoji is done, we can have some questions. I'll open up the chat and hand raising. With that, over to Bindoji.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste and welcome to all. This class will be the one which we'll be having this week as the last. The Friday we won't be having the class, and the Monday coming we may not be conducting the class due to Navaratri holidays, which is there for India, very important one. But the coming Sunday, that is on the 28th September, Atmisha is going to introduce her book, which she has compiled and brought into the Amazon network as Kindle and printed version. She want to introduce the book to the group. So we will be having a special session on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So others have to take, because the thing, even though it is 1 a.m. Early morning, 1 o'clock for me here in Australia, I'll be joining the room, but mostly it will be Artemisha's introduction to the book and all. I'm going to be present there for supporting her, and Prakash also will be there to support the operations. And once she does this introduction to the book and presentation and all, I will be using her voice of certain excerpts from the book for creating small YouTube videos, which will be uploaded to the YouTube channel also. And regarding the printed books, in India there is some issue which we'll be discussing in detail in the Sunday session which we are having. So Sunday special session will be at 8:30 p.m. like the normal Q&A session which we used to have the open house, the same timing. So with that, I think today's class will be, I'm going through the 104th verses again with the Vidhyaranya's commentary, which I didn't do it in the last class. And that is important because he is explaining certain important aspects on the practice of Nididhyasana. So let us proceed with that, with the usual invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibeda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aparokshanubhuti. Sriharim Paramanandam Upadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. Starting from the 104th verse, there are 21 verses which is the main verses which is narrating the 15 steps for Nididhyasana according to Advaitic tradition. It is different from the Patanjali tradition and therefore should not be confused with them. That is why I am taking this Vidhyaranya's commentary on these things again, because I didn't go through them the last class. Sarvam brahmedi vijanadi indriya grama saṃyamaha yamo ayamiti samproktabhyasaniyo muhurmuhu. Now, Vidhyaranya says that now idanim etesham pratyekam nirdesha kramena swabhimatani lakshanani aha. That is, these auxiliary one by one, that is pratyekam, in sequence, nirdesha kramena, in the order in which it is important. He states their characteristics as he intends. Means Vidhyaranya is saying that as Shankaracharya intended, he is bringing the characteristics of this yama, etc., yama, niyama, etc., according to the Advaitic tradition. Sarvamidi adya ekavimshatya tatra pratamodishtam yamam tavad darshayati. Sarvamiti is the beginning of this verse, 104th verse. Stadya arabhya ekavimshati. That is on 21 verses starting with this. Tatra pratamo nirdishta yamam tavad darshayati. The yama is being described. What is yama? Sarvamiti. Sarvam akashati dehantam jagat brahma. When Shankaracharya used the word sarvam in the verse 104th, we have to take it that akashadi dehandam jagat, that is starting with the akasha, from the embodiment of the phenomenal world, that has to be taken as Brahma. See, if you remember, the Taittiriya say that tasmat etasmat atmana akasha sambhudaha. That is how it started, the creation. Tasmat etasmat, from this Brahman, etasmat atmanaha, from Brahman, Atman, Akasha Sambhudaha, Akasha was created. Then it narrates from Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, the Prithivi, Aushadaya, Aushadebhyo, Annam, Annat Purushaha. Like that, it has narrated in this thing. So that is what is being referred here as Sarvam Akashadi Dehandam Jagat Brahma bādha-sāmānādhikaraṇya dvara sthānu purushādivat ityarthaha. Now there is a methodology. It is called bādha-sāmānādhikarana. That is, it is a method of sublation or negation. How is that? Core reference. There is single reference which is giving to two different aspects. For example, sthānu purusha adivat, the stump and that man. It's just an example. The same stump or a tree is mistaken as Purusha, as a man standing behind a window in a twilight. Now here, the man is negated, sublated, and the tree is established. But both the tree and the man is in the same reference which is being used. That is why the co-reference and sublation. Bādha means sublation. Sāmānādhikaraṇya means in the same substratum or in the same reference. This is the method in which we will be learning about the nididhyasana. You see here, our experience is what? Of the phenomenal world. From the body, I am the body, to the phenomenal world, everything is our experience. Now, like the man is the experience when it is seen in a twilight behind a window. Actually, what is moving is a branch of a tree. But it appears that a man is waving his hand to the person who is not knowing the reality. Same way, not knowing the reality, we feel that that body, the physical body, and the phenomenal world is the experience which is reality. But that is on the substratum or the co-reference, which is to be understood as Brahman. This methodology of substituting what is not real with the what is real on the same referential point is called the bādha-sāmānādhikaraṇya. Idi vijñānāt nischayat hetoho indriyanam kshetradinam ekadesha karananam gramas samuhaha. Idi vijñānāt. It is knowledge by conviction and reasoning. What is getting established? The collection of sense organs. Indriyanam means shrotradinam. In this, like the ears, eyes, etc. Ekadesha karananam. There are 11 indriyas which is being considered. Ekadesha karananam. Gramaha means samuhaha. What are the 11 indriyas which are being done? 5 sensory organs of perception and 5 organs of action based on which we do the activity. So 5 plus 5, 10, including the indriya of mind. Mind means mind, intellect, etc. Put together as antakarana. So we have 11 organs in our body, which is giving rise to the confusion of we are the individual and the phenomenal world is an experience through the sense organs. Tasya saṃyamaha. Saṃyama. Samyak shabdadi vishayanam vinashitva satishayatva dukhadatva adi dosha darshanad. Now, to sublate or to negate the reality of the physicality and the reality of the world, phenomenal world, that has to be shown as dosha darshana, unreal. In reality, it is not there. And what are the dosha, what is giving, why it is feeling that way? Shabdadi vishayanam vinashitva sadishayatva dukhadatva. So, Shabdadi Vishayanam. Shabdadi means all the 20, all the 11 organs we have to consider. Sense of perception, sensory perception and action and mind. all of them put together is Shabdadi Vishayana. Vinashitva, they are bound to have limitation in their expression or usage or time bound. If I am hearing sound, there is a beginning of hearing of a sound, the hearing period, and a period where the sound stops being heard. This aspect is called the Vinashitva. That holds good for all the organs, all the sensory perceptions and all the actions, sensory organs of action, and what is happening in our mind. Plus, Sadishayatva. Sadishayatva means there, waxing and waning. There is a period when it is not being experienced at all. Then there is a beginning to it, ending in a climax, and then it is reducing and perishing. So this waxing and waning of sense organs or sensory input or our experiences is what is called the sadishayatva. Then dukkhadatva. And they are causing us unhappiness or suffering. Why? Because there is a desire because of which we got engaged into the activity. And then they are permanently or never giving us eternal happiness. There will be a initial period of happiness when through the sensory organs or the mind when we are engaging in the world of objects. But a continued utility of that brings in a reducing utility or reducing enjoyment, or what you call the typical economic term, cartel, is the utility, the value of the engagement is getting reduced. You cannot keep on eating sweet, or you cannot keep on seeing the sunset or sunrise, or you cannot keep on looking at the beauty of your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend, or you cannot keep on looking at the beauty of a rose or a flower or a nature or anything. After some time, it is no more giving the beauty which you enjoyed in the beginning. And then if somebody is forcing you to keep on doing it, it starts becoming painful or a torture to us. Therefore, all engagement of sense organs, perception or action, is ending in suffering, because the enjoyment period has a time limit, and beyond that starts the same thing becomes a punishment. Therefore, it is called dukkhadatva. And tasya saṃyamaha, the restraining of these 11 sense organs of ours, knowing very well that they are not eternal, they are of nature of waxing and waning in nature, and is causing us torture or pain when we continuously engage with them. Yama vishayebhyaha nivaranam. Yama is the withdrawal from the sensory, these 11 sense inputs, knowing their nature. See, we are not withdrawing them how it is being told by the other philosophies, that you should not engage in sensory organs, you should be restraining your senses, you should not indulge in things like that. That is a dictum, and those who are following the philosophy follow the dictum as instructions by the teacher or by the scripture. But they do not have the intellectual conviction for retaining the effects of that. They know it should not be engaged, but why and what is the reason why it should not be engaged for is not taught by those philosophies. So the withdrawal from or turning away from the senses and their engagement in the phenomenal world should be an intellectual conviction and a result of the conviction of the intellectual knowledge that they are all ephemeral in nature. They are not going to give me a continued pleasure. There is a waxing and waning, and the same thing will become a source of torture or pain for me if I engage with them beyond the limit. Ayam yamaha iti samproktaha natu kevalam ahimsadi ityarthaha. So he is here referring to the philosophy of Buddhism and Vaisheshika, saying that, they call yama as ahimsa or non-violence. It is the non-violence what the Advaita is talking about. It is the conviction that the sense organs are not the one which is divulging or revolving, showing us the real effect of the world of objects. Tada kim ata aha abhyasaniya. Ayam muhur abhyasaniya. That is the thing. Then what should be done? Abhyasaniya. They should be practiced. See, no activity or no practice becomes perfect unless it is practiced in such a way that the conviction and the practice together make it a natural tendency in us. We are not withdrawing from them forcefully or shutting down ourselves in a room and doing meditation. But the moment you are let out and you go to the world outside from the room of this thing, you become the old, despicable person. That is not helpful for the spiritual path which we are talking about. So it has to be practiced, while engaged in the world outside, but knowing the ephemerality and the efficacy of the engagement in the world outside. That is what is called the abhyasaniya muhurmuhu, means again and again we should practice that. And in the next verse, 105th verse, he says, sajadiya pravahascha vijadiyati tiraskritihi niyamo hi paranando niyamat kriyate bhudai. Ayam likitva niyamam lakshayati. Now, yama, after yama, niyama is being explained or defining. Sajadiya pravahaha. Sajadiya iti sajadiyam pratyak abhinnam parabrahma. Now, what is sajadiya? Sajadiya means same category. Now, we cannot have the feeling of same category in a diversified sensory input and physical appearances and their contacts in the physical world. They will be vijatiya, means multiple in nature or multitude in nature. If we have to bring a sajatiya, means the same category, what I am seeing, what I am hearing, both are same. How can it happen if we are just engaging with the eyes and the ears? It cannot happen, because eyes will give you vision, ears will give us sound. But how can they be brought into the same category? That is only intellectually we can do that. Sajadiyam pratyag abhinnam parabrahma. It becomes the same category only when we know that it is non different from the inner self, which is the supreme Brahman outside. I am Atma Brahma or Prajnanam Brahma. This knowledge which we learned from the Upanishad is the only tool which is available for us to know that what we are experiencing through the eyes as vision and sounds through the ears, just for the two examples, both are nothing but the same category. One is vision, the other is sound. But the reality is that both of them are giving rise to experiences. One is a visual experience, one is the audio experience. But the experience, if we analyze it, even though we may categorize it as visual and auditory, what is really happening is we are being aware of the auditory thing and we are being aware of the visual thing. What is we are really getting is the common substratum or the same reference of awareness or consciousness, even though they are being perceived through two different sense organs. When we do that, then only it becomes sajadiyam, means belonging to the same category. The mantra from the Kenopanishad, Pratibodha viditam matam amritattu vintate. There it was said that Pratibodham, every experience, bodham bodham prati, amritatvam hi vintate. When you go to that aspect, what is being experienced, the reference, if you look at it, we know that it is awareness, consciousness, or knowing. And there is no, what you call, the category, three category, which has been mentioned earlier from the phenomenal world. That is the vinashitvam. Awareness is never getting destroyed. The content of the awareness of vision, the object or the specific nature of the vision can get destroyed or diminished or vanished. But awareness in which we knew it, that doesn't vanish. That is why it remains as memory in our mind. That awareness can never go. Anything can trigger that awareness back into our memory, and that awareness can come. But the object need not be there. So what is vinasha, or what is diminishing or destroying, is the content of the awareness and not the awareness by itself. When we concentrate on that aspect of awareness, what is being presented to us through the eyes, through the ears, etc., are nothing but awareness. That is the time when they become sajadiya, or the same category. And that is pratyak. There is commonality between my being aware of myself and my being aware of everything in through the sense organs. That awareness has no differentiation between my being aware of myself and my being aware of the object of through the vision or through the sound. Therefore, my being aware of myself, which is called the self or the atma, and what is being aware through the sensory inputs outside the world of the phenomenal world or sarvam khaluidam, that is also awareness, which is Brahma. So we call it by different name, but they are the one and the same. That is why when I am practicing this, I am seeing myself as awareness who is being aware of the sensory inputs. But in the sensory input also, there is only awareness. The content of the sensory input by either vision or the auditory, the content has got vinashitvam and sadishayatvam and dukkadaitvam. These three aspects are there in the content of the awareness. That is same for content of awareness of me as myself also. What I thought is that I have a birth, I am growing old now, and I will die. That feeling is when I am associating myself not with awareness, but when I associate it with the body. That is why Akashadi Deha Paryandam, that word was used by the Vidhyaranya Swami in the commentary. So tat ekakara vritti pravaha sajyajiya pravaha. Yadva sajatiyanam asanga udama avikriya aham ityadi pratyaga binna brahma pratyayanam pravaha. This is what I was explaining. Tat ekakara vritti pravaha. The nature of that awareness, eka akara, there is only one nature. Even when I am being aware of an auditory thing or I am being aware of a visual input, the awareness aspect of both auditory as well as visual is eka akara, is of one nature or the same form. And that is unabated. When a visual input, the content of the visual inputs may keep on changing, but the awareness of the visual aspect, that is never going through a creation, destruction, or growth in between, or isn't going to give me any, torture or punishment or, unhappiness. It is called sajadiya pravaha, vritti pravaha. It's a continuous flow of mental status, taking as the form of the object. But here, when you know it is the same category, it is called Brahman. So that is how the sarvam khalu idam Brahma becomes a reality to us. Yadva sajatayanam asanga udama avikriya aham ityadi pratyagavinna Brahma pratyayanam pravaha. Which is that, on the contrary, if I look at it the other way around, it is the flow of cognition of myself. And I am unattached to the content of the awareness. The content is varying. I am not varying. Therefore, I am unattached. If I had been attached to that, I will also go through the changes. But I am remaining changeless. And the visual or auditory or other sense organs are keeping on changing. Therefore, the change is in the content, but not in the awareness. And that awareness is the same awareness of me being aware of myself, which is pure and changeless. That is Udama Avikriyaha. All these things are affirming that Brahman is identical with the self. That is the awareness of me as myself and the world of objects as sensory inputs are identical. Vijatiya tiraskritihi cha puna vijatiya tiraskritihi vijatiyanam brahmatma vilakshanam jagat purva samskarad jayamana tadakara vritti ityartaha. What is the opposite of it? Because when we are being told about the sajatiya aspect, it is important for us what it is not. Just knowing what it is may not be sufficient, or it will not suffice our understanding. We also equally need to know what is to be rejected. Tiraskriti. What is to be rejected? The heterogeneous aspect of the contents of the awareness. Here, the Vijatiyana means things which are in the form of names and forms, but not as the awareness of the name and form. The name and form are changing. Therefore, they are called Vijatiya. And since they are Vijatiya, they are changing, it cannot be Brahman. Therefore, Brahmatva Vilakshanam, Jagat. This world of phenomenality, which is by name and form, which we are looking, that aspect has to be negated or rejected when we are doing the Sajatiya. How do we see the Sajatiya in the phenomenal world, or the same nature or same category in the phenomenal world? When we see them as nothing but awareness. A sun is an awareness to me because of the light of the sun. I am being aware of a flower which is being lit by the sunlight in the daytime as a flower, and for me, the flower is not a flower which is available only during the daytime with certain qualities like whatever the color, the stem, the stalk, okay, etc. I am seeing it as awareness approaching me. When I am seeing a flower, the seeing of the flower is not seeing of the flower, but being aware of the substratum on which the name and the form, the flower, is depending upon. The flower is not flower, but it's a flower with a name and form now being attributed or being superimposed on on the what you call the object. The object is not independently existing. That existence is the existence of Brahman or Atman. On that we give the name and form. That name and form is the one what has to be rejected. Purva samskara jayamana tad akara vritti ityartaha. Purva samskara. Till we learned Advaita, we were having certain background knowledge and information and conviction that the phenomenal world is nothing but name and form, and we are enjoying the name and form because the objects are name and form. The pot is a pot, and we are utilizing the pot. But when we were started studying Advaita, we knew the pot is nothing but the mud, which is now has got a name and form, and utility value. That is why we call it as a pot, and the pot should not be just as pot alone. But when we extend it further about that Sachidananda aspect or the existence and awareness aspect of objects, even the lump of mud and the mud of the pot, they become Sachidananda or Brahman or Atman, which is existence and awareness. This Purva Samskara will not give us the Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha of knowledge of Brahman. We will be deluded by the names and forms. So they have to be rejected. Tasya tiraskriti dosha smritya adhika apeksha anadaraha ityartaha. The rejection of these means of ignoring them through remembrance of their defects, treating them with the neglect and indifference. By habit, we have been indulging in the world of objects with the name and form and the transactional values of it. Aadat se majboor hai means by habit we are indebted to the habit, and we live in that habit day in and day out. We cannot think about our life without the dependency of the name and form. So they have to be rejected and neglecting, and we have to deal them with indifference. So what is this niyama Advaita is talking about? Natu kevalam shauchadihi ityartaha iti Upanishad prasiddhav. It is not merely the observance of external purity. This is how the Patanjali Yoga says that. Niyama means bahya vrittinam shuchitvam. Shuchitvam means shaucham or purity. The mental aspects, including the sense organs of perception and the activity of the sensory organs of action, should be engaged only in the clean environment and clean thoughts, clean methodology. That is not what is being referred here. This is different from that. Nanu anayoho Upanishad prasiddhaya kaha purushartha iti ched ata aha para ananda iti. Tada kim ata aha niyamad ityadi gamam. That is, when it is asked what is the purpose of yama and niyama in this Upanishadic sense, the answer is very clear. Their fruit is supreme bliss. When you are not engaging or when you are abiding in the awareness without accepting our habitual behavior of names and forms and their utility and attraction and their desires, etc., but with a sense of indifference, and the real value is not in the changing names and forms, but on the eternal awareness through which the name and form becomes a subjective experience to me. I am no more being controlled by my habit, but I have an approach that which will release me from the object becoming a object which entices me to to be wedded with the object for my happiness. No, the happiness doesn't lie in the object, because they have a creation, sustenance and dissolution, plus waxing and waning of the happiness or the existence during their existence. and then they all giving rise to sorrow or unhappiness if I keep continuing to engage in that. So when I am not doing that, there is something called para ananda, extreme bliss or supreme bliss, by not engaging with the objects as objects of engagement, but as representation or being as Brahman or Atman itself. Not carried away by the habit of the name and form and the qualities, adjectives, which we were used to it till now. Then this Paramananda becomes a reality to us. Here, which here that this 106th verse is Tyagaha Prapancha Rupasya Chidatmatva Avalokanat Tyagaha Hi Mahadam Pujya Sadyo Mokshaya Mokshamayaha Sadyo Mokshamayaha Yataha. So we saw that the meaning of it. What is the yoga tyagaha? After having yama niyama, it is tyaga, which is defined as discipline, not what you call abandoning things. Idanim tridiyam tyagam lakshayati tyaga iti. How is it to be done? Prapancha swarupa nirupana. That is prapancha rupasya. Prapancho nama rupa lakshana. Prapancha means names and forms. Rupyate. What is the word rupa means, or the form means? Gataha ayam, pataha ayam ityadi nama rupataha nirupyate vyavahriyate prakashyate yena. That aspect of an object because of which we say that it is a pot, it is a cloth, etc. Nama rupato nirupyate. It is being adjunctive or adjectively or being addressed as ghada or pata or the pot or the cloth with the names. Vyavahriyate, we transact. While transaction, the name, the adjectives and the qualities of the adjectives of the object is the one which is reminding us that we are engaging with the object. For example, when we are engaging with the flower, rose, the moment we engage with a flower like rose, the form, the name, the smell, all the type of adjectives which we think about it, even memory from that, this flower is something which I've seen in some other place, all sorts of connections which we can think about it. That is the one which is being used for the vyavahara, for the transaction. But actually, what are we are dealing with? We are dealing with nothing but the existence aspect of it. If the existence aspect or existence awareness and the consciousness aspect of the flower is not there, the flower has no validity, no existence itself. So there won't be any vyavahara possible or a transaction possible. So the very aspect that we are able to transact in the world is because everything is nothing but Brahman or Atman. Because if Brahman or Atman had not been present in any object, the object itself cannot exist, because the objects is existing because of Atman or Brahman. So this aspect we do not take it into account when we are transacting with the flower, like rose, etc. And it prakashyate. The existence is the reason why we are aware of the existence. That is what is the prakasha, what we are talking about. Tasya bāsa sarvam idam vibhāti. Earlier I have discussed this in detail. It is in the light of that Atman or Brahman that sarvam idam vibhāti. It is in the form of the multiplicity of the world. They are shining. Prakashyate. Chidatma Swarupaka Avalokan. That is what is being now. Chidatma Swarupa is being described. Tat prapancha rupam sarvadishtanam bhutam padartha spuranam. Tasya chidatmakatva avalokanat chidjadam swataha eva prakashamanam brahma. The entire universe of name and form is because rests on the substratum of existence, the shining of forth of objects. The shining means it is not shining like gold or a mirror or anything. Shining means the knowledge with which we know it is existing, the presence. So when the rose is there, I am actually experiencing the existence aspect of something and the projection or shining aspect of the same thing as existing object, on which the adjectives are added, like flower, the name, the form, the qualities, etc. If had not there been the adjective aspect of the existence, we will not be able to experience anything as a flower or anything. By recognizing that this sense is a pure consciousness, not inert, Chid Jada Swataha Eva Prakashamanam Brahma. This Brahman or Atman, what we call it, is ever revealing in nature. Sarvamidam vibhati. Always. Tad Atma Swarupam Yasya Tavad Tad Bhavaha Tasya Avalokanam Anusandhanam. Tad Atma Swarupam Yasya Tad Bhavaha. Atma Swarupam Yasya. See, this is a very fine definition. To contemplate that all of this is of the nature of Brahman, identical with the Brahman. That is what is called Tad Swarupasya Tad Bhavaha. Tad Swarupasya. The Swarupa of any object or the very nature of every object or the fundamental reality of the object is nothing but Brahman or Atman. Tadeva Avalokanam Anusandhanam Kriya Kuryat. That is what is to be remembered and interacted. Not get carried away by our previous habits and evaluation. Now, the previous habit of mine is to know myself as Bindo. I'm a man of India, say age, etc. All those things are my habits, which I am carrying with me. But I am not that. My Swarupa is my awareness of being myself. And there is a Swarupa for this physical body also, which is nothing but Swarupa of Brahman or Atman. In the Swarupa of Brahman or Atman, but when I am considering it as my habit, Deha, I become Bindu. And I interact with all the world of objects as Bindu. But actually speaking, the reality is that this name and form and the interaction is all depend upon the Atma, which is the true nature of me, myself. Ishavasyamidam sarvam ityadi shrutehi idi vidwadvanubhava prasiddhau. This is exactly what is the first opening statement of Ishavasya Upanishad. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tektena bhunjida maghridak kasya siddhanam. That was the first mantra. All this is pervaded by Isha or the self, Atma. That is the Vidwadvanubhava Prasiddha. That is the experience of the one who is having the knowledge that I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. Apatti or Samadha, that is Anu Nanu Ayam Tyagaha Kutrabi Prasiddha iti Ashankyaha Mahadam Puja iti. If one may doubt, but is this kind of tapasya known anywhere? The Tyaga which is being mentioned, is it being mentioned anywhere? The reply is that it is well revered among the great. The Atmatjnanis, or those who have understood the reality, those are the people who are revering and encouraging this Tyaga, this Anusandhana, or this methodology of seeing oneself in everything. Atma Sarvatma Bhavat. Tahetu Sadhyaha Yato Ayam Tyagaha Sadhyaha Anusandanam Kala Eva Mokshamayaha Paramananda Swarupa Avasthana Rupam. Because this Tyaga, at the very moment of such contemplation, becomes a liberation itself. When done in the proper way, this Tyagaha, or this methodology of doing the renunciation and finding out the reality, this is abiding in the individual as Aham Brahmasmi. But if you are not able to do the Tyaga of the multiplicity and the names and forms dependency of the world of objects, then you are not having the supreme bliss or the knowledge of Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi iti jnana. Ata eva atmatvat vadin ishtatvad ati prasiddha ayam tyagaha. That is why this Tyaga becomes extremely well known and cherished by the followers of Brahman or Atman. Tasmat ayam eva mumukshunam kartavyah na anyah kevala swakarmadi akarana rupam iti bhavah. Tasmat, therefore, this alone is Tyaga. Ayam eva mumukshunam kartavya. This alone should be done by the mukshus, or those who are practicing for the purpose of releasing them from the wrong notion that we are the physical body. This is the explanation of Tyaga. We will go into the details of the next verse, because tyaga is also considered as sannyasa by some thoughts. So true renunciation is cognitive, not ritualistic. Not I give up work, but I dismiss name and form as mithya. It is not that when I am engaging in the activity, I am withdrawing from the activity. I am engaging in the activity of teaching, explaining this Upanishad or this text. Even when that is being done, the approach with which one should be doing is that I am Atma or Brahma and there is no kartrutva or bhoktrutva in me. I am neither the doer nor the enjoyer or receiver. What is being observed by others is due to nama rupa, distinction of the worldly habits which have been processed them till now. If I think that I am Bindo with the Deha, then my teaching and teaching, etc., becomes my reality, and I am not knowing Brahman or Atman at that time. But I know that this is neither taught by me nor being taught by the Deha or the being. It is a awareness which is happening. Awareness in the form of a organ of speech is what is being produced and given out, and it is not me who is doing the work. It is the potency of the word which is being heard, has the awareness in the word, which is the one which is making sense to you, not I am doing anything specifically for to make sense in you. This aspect has to be understood. I am never the doer nor the enjoyer of teaching. The truth is that when it is being explained, if I have the attitude, my habit of talking and using the language, etc., and I think I am the one who is doing it, then I am in the lower level. I need to educate myself to become an Uttama Adhikari. But if I become an Uttama Adhikari, I may continue to teach, but I know I am not the one who is teaching. The teaching is an inherent quality of the awareness, which is transacting with awareness, which is your Swarupa. This aspect is not the one which is the ascetic tyaga or sannyasa, wearing ochre robe or special dress, designer dresses, or suit and tie, or whether you are on a loin cloth or anything for that matter, because you are not the physical body anymore. So whether you are, whatever you are wearing or what you are not wearing, whether you are stark naked or whether you are cloth with a cloak and full covering and headgear like a tiara, etc., even then the awareness is not the one which is getting covered or described or described like that. The habit of us to tell that the teacher is wearing an ochre robe, etc., is our habit. The Advaita is not, that is why it is saying it's not ascetic. But the active contemplative recognition that Nama Rupa is Mithya, Brahman alone is the Satya. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.2, sannyasa is being referred as renunciation of desire motivated action. Kamya karma tyagaha. That is why the ascetic, mm, withdrawal which is being told there, whereas tyagaha is phalatyagaha as per the Bhagavad Gita. Abandoning the fruits of action. Now, those who are habituated, they will be looking at the fruit of action also as objects, whether it can be sun, the cows, the wealth, the surga, or becoming parabati, or rain, etc. That those are all the phala. And phalatyaga, when you are abandoning that, you are doing a phalatyaga. But in the Advaitic form, that is not the tyaga what we are talking about. The tyaga is tyaga of the nama rupa, of the names and forms through which we are habituated and performing again and again. We have to get out of the whirlpool of our habits. That is the tyaga. There are many places where tyaga is being referred in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 18th, 3 to 6, it is that saying the renunciation of nitya karma is not approved, but renunciation of attachment and fruits of action is praised. Then 18.9, Sattviga Tyaga, performing obligatory actions without attachment to the fruit. Section 18.11, absolute renunciation of all action by an embodied being is impossible. But renunciation of fruits is declared as Tyaga in the Bhagavad Gita. Whereas Bhagavad Gita, while it is harmonizing, maintaining duties and drop of attachment to the fruit of expectation, Advaita is refuting that even the individual is not reality, but a superimposition on what is to be practiced. We will continue this in the next class. So before closing, I am making one more announcement once again, which I did in the beginning of the class. We will not be having class on the coming Friday and Monday. But Sunday, we will be having the special session where Atmisha will be launching a book which she has compiled or she has produced based on the discussions and the question answer sessions which have been done by us in the clubhouse during 2023-24. And she has made that into a book and has published in the Amazon. And that is available in Kindle and the print formats. Prakash, you can put the link for the Sunday's class in the chat so that those who are wanting to know when to what time and everything, we can tell that. The session will be the normal Indian time at 8:30 p.m. evening on the coming Sunday, 28th September. It will be 1 a.m. for people in Sydney, Canberra, Australia. It will be, at different timing for Europe as well as USA, whether you are in the East, Central, Mountain, Pacific, or whatever may be the time zone you are. So select your time zone according to where you live or where you are attending from. It will be predominantly introduction by Atmisha, the book, where she will be reading and giving some, experience of the book to us in her own words. I'll be present, even though it's 1 o'clock in the morning, early morning, 1 o'clock for me here in Sydney, Canberra. The predominant aspect will be of Artemisia. I will be present. Anything if it comes up, I'll be responding according to that. Prakash also will be there to help us and monitor and moderate and things like that. And we will be hearing from Atmisha directly about the book herself. That is in the coming Sunday. But Friday and Monday, no classes. We will resume the discussion on the Aparokshanubhuti on the following Wednesday in the month of October. Or I think it's in the month of October, or
Yes,
I think it will be, yeah,
October 1st. October 1st.
it will,
Wednesday.
yeah, it will be on the October 1st of where we will continue now. So in the month of October 1st, we will resume the Aparokshanubhuti. I'm stopping here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawada.
Thank you, Bindoji, for another deep session on Tyaga and Niyama. I've opened the hand raising in the chat if there is any follow-up discussion. And I've also pasted the link for the upcoming Sunday room in the chat. You can also find it in the house chat too. If you go to the house chat, you can scroll the house chat and you'll see comments from me and Artemisia pertaining to either the link to the book on Amazon and also the room link. Today's session, Bindoji, was
Nobody has questions.
so far
Pardon?
not a question, but today's session was, I think, uh, a deepening of the clarity with reference to what it is the practitioner is engaged with in terms of multiplicities and how one cognizes that as a different state of awareness. So that was very beautiful,
Yes.
Bindoji. Yeah.
Because there is marked difference between the yama niyama of Patanjali yoga and even the other schools like Buddhism, Vaisheshika, etc. So Shankaracharya wants to make us understand that the it is not that just hearing alone will suffice, but for students who are of different nature, they need to do this through these methods, which is referring to as the 15 steps in the verses to come. So that has to be always kept in mind, that we are talking about from the truth, not from the transactional point of view. Because the Patanjali Yoga Sutra is from the transactional point of view, whereas Dvaita practice is from establishing yourself in the truth and replacing our old habits with a new habit of knowing who we are. We were engaging in our habits without knowing who we are. Now we will be engaging in the world by knowing who we are. For that, we need to have a totally a different set of habit. That habit development is what is being referred here as the set of 15 steps.
Thank you, Bindoji.
Good morning, Bindoji. Good morning, Prakash.
Namaste, Vinod.
So one interesting thing I found was that, particularly when listening to J. Krishnamurti, he will say that just knowing this stuff itself changes you. There's nothing particular to do. So there's nothing to do as in, you don't have to follow anything, because just being aware of this thing itself is going to change you. That's what he would emphasize. Actually, that's what
Yes.
even I feel even in this also, actually, because
Actually,
when,
yes. But
ah,
everybody is not. How many people who have listened to Jay Krishnamurti has been able to
that's right. That's
be
right.
like him? Be like him.
I agree. I agree. No, I just wanted to point out that that
Right.
the mind being mind will be like having mechanical aspects, and so seeing it from a much higher place is far more easier, and it's a kind of a better approach than trying to cultivate the habits which are like without really changing any understanding of the reality. So
But
fundamentally, I think that's being brought out here. So that's itself something great. Thank you,
that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinod. Namaste, Jesse. How are you?
Hey, namaste to everyone. I hope you are enjoying your grandkids. I can picture kisses all around. That's wonderful.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse.
I can picture that joy. Um, so a couple of things, not any deep questions this evening, but I was really looking forward to getting to that level of understanding that before the Vedas were written, that they were transferred verbally, but before that, they were transferred in silence. So you gave us a big teaser about that. Did I miss that in this session? Did I blink out somehow about how knowledge is transferred in silence prior to language?
Well, that aspect of the silence is yet to come because I've done only the first three aspects. The next one is the one which is talking about the Maunam or the silence aspect, which I'll cover on the 1st of October.
Oh, very good. I highly look forward to that. It's provocative enough to rest in my awareness as an opportunity for learning. And then
Sure.
yes, so thank you. And then I just wanted to say, and thank you, Vinod. I heard you brought up Krishnamurti, and for anyone who's interested, I'll just mention that Aryan and another friend and I are doing 3 sessions on Judu Krishnamurti's first book that he wrote when he was 14 years old in 1910, called At the Feet of the Master. And we've done our first sessions, and it'll be on the next 2 Mondays, and it is on replay. But just the alacrity and the ability for him to understand the societal and cultural aspects at, with such a mind at age 14 was just really, really amazing. So I'll just mention that if anybody's interested, that's in the house that's called the Spiritual and Sacred Texts House, but we are enjoying that. And thanks for bringing him up, because any of the masters of wisdom that are tried and true throughout the ages bring us those glimpses of opening our perception into our truth and into our true identity. So I just love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. You can put the link in the chat if you wish, so that people, those who listen to you, will know which house is to the come and what timing and all. You can post the share the link to
Thank
your
you.
room here in the chat.
Thank you, Binduji, and thank you, Prakash, and everyone here. Such a beautiful satsang indeed.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay. Thank you all. We will see you on Sunday, Indian time, 8:30, with Artemisia launching the book and this thing, and followed by any questions if you have or anything you want to discuss. You can. I'll be present there. This Aparokshanubhuti class will continue on the 1st of October, same time. So, which Prakash will be posting the announcement of the rooms according to that. Thank you all. Hari Om. Namaste. Anything else, Prakash?
No, nothing else, Bindoji. So the schedule again, I just repeat it. So Sunday we are meeting. The next meeting is on Sunday, 8:30 IST, 8:30 p.m. And then following Wednesday, when we resume Aparokshanubhuti, it is 6:30 a.m. IST on October 1st. Yes, that's about it, Bindoji.
Thank you all. Hari Om. Namaste.
Namaste.